So, you want to go after your goals. Picture this, your life with that ideal partner, the dream home, and the career you've always wanted. Exciting, right? The new year is filled with that collective buzz, with everyone setting resolutions and intentions. But here's the big question, how do you keep that motivation alive? Today, I'm excited to share my strategies for keeping that drive strong throughout the year. Think of motivation like physical fitness. It's not just about a burst of energy in January. It's about building sustainable mental health habits that weave into your daily life. Like many of you, I'm passionate about learning from thought leaders in personal development. Their insights are fascinating. As a psychiatrist, I understand the science behind their methods, how they tap into your brain's natural mechanisms for motivation and growth. But let's be real. With so much information available, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. We've all been there. It's a shared struggle. We procrastinate, freeze up, or avoid action altogether. That's why today, I'm breaking down the most practical techniques that have worked for me. And I want to inspire you to discover what works for you. Let's start with an essential truth. Many people wait for motivation to strike before taking action, which often means they never begin. This is especially challenging for those dealing with clinical depression, where the brain's motivation centers aren't functioning optimally. Here's what I tell my patients and myself. You don't need to wait until you feel fully motivated. Start with small steps. Taking action grows motivation. It's a feedback loop. This is why behavioral activation, a technique involving engaging in meaningful activities, even small ones, is so effective in treating depression. When you engage in these activities, your mood and motivation naturally improve. If you want to accomplish anything, remember that every journey begins with a single step. Find your reason to start, take those initial steps, and make those tough early decisions. And watch as each small step unfolds. If motivation is lacking early on, taking action will help ignite it. Here's what works for me. When setting goals, I start with clarity of purpose. Every destination I choose is intentional and aligned with what makes me happy and brings me fulfillment and meaning. This means clarifying my values, those guiding principles that serve as our internal compass. Your body and mind are constantly sending signals. When something feels off, fatigue, anxiety, or lack of motivation, it often means you're misaligned with your values. That's why I've developed systems and habits to stay connected with what matters most. Something you should know about me is that I'm a very big dreamer. I love chasing big ideas. It's what led me to become a doctor. Just think about that journey for a moment. Who willingly chooses to spend years in school, invest heavily in education, take countless exams, and work those intense hours? Looking back, I realized my medical training wasn't just about becoming a doctor. It really built my mental toughness and taught me how to sustain motivation because I had to. Fast forward to 2024. Last year was a whirlwind of change in my career. I took a leap from a salaried position to becoming my own boss, expanded my medical clinic, and started this podcast. All because I wanted to reach and help more people. It was such a transformative year, and I'm excited to share the motivating, boosting systems and habits that helped me achieve these goals. These include setting clear goals, practicing self-care, and maintaining a positive mindset. Here's something crucial I've learned. The key to taking action is make the next steps crystal clear and doable. But before mapping out those steps, you need to know your destination. It's about finding that sweet spot between keeping your eye on the prize and staying flexible. Clarity in your goals will keep you focused and purposeful. Sometimes your journey takes unexpected turns, and that's perfectly okay. That's where the real growth happens. Here's an overview of my process. I start by reviewing my values, which are the foundation of everything. I ask myself, what are my top values? Then I list my most important roles and goals. My top values are health, family, kindness, justice, and empowerment. And there's many more after that. I examined all the hats I wear and was clear about how I wanted to present myself in each area. Take motherhood, for example. I remember how I want to be for my kids, like being present, patient, and engaged. Am I perfect at this? Not at all. But regularly reminding myself of these values helps me embody them more often. Then comes what I call my everything list, a concept I learned from an online course, Learn, Do, Become, which they call a brain dump. It's exactly what it sounds like, writing out every goal that's in your head, everything you want in this life. I take 30 minutes to jot down all my goals, plans, and dreams, everything I want to do, have, or become. Quick question. When was the last time you comprehensively reviewed what's on your mind? If you haven't, this might be your sign to try it. It's so helpful. Now, going back to my everything list, I organize items into categories like travel, work, adventures, hobbies, and more. This helps me spot patterns and set priorities. I focus on what excites me most and consider what's realistic to pursue in the coming years. As I reflect, timelines naturally emerge, priorities become clear, and I can pinpoint my focus areas for the year. This clarity is crucial because it activates our brain's motivation center, the dopamine system that fuels our pursuit and anticipation of rewards. From there, I develop my yearly timeline, always incorporating strategies to maintain motivation throughout the journey. Let me share what worked well for me last year using the mental path framework, which focuses on psychology, physiology, and your environment. First, let's talk about psychology. I always return to my why. For every goal I choose to pursue, I regularly remind myself of the big reasons why I want to achieve them. These whys must be so compelling that I must pursue them. For me, it's about impact, contribution, and creating meaningful change in people's lives, both in my professional and personal circles. When I visualize my goals, I don't just see the outcome, I let myself feel it. This isn't just positive thinking, it activates neural pathways supporting motivation. Reflecting on past challenges is particularly powerful for me. Remember when I mentioned med school? When I face a new challenge, I remind myself that if I can handle medical training or even parenthood, I can handle this too. Now take a moment to think about your journey. What challenges have you already overcome? Beyond knowing your why, it's crucial to have effective systems. I maintain a clear calendar and timeline that show me exactly what's next. When I see my next immediate action, I avoid the overwhelming feeling that leads to procrastination. And speaking of overwhelm, I've learned to look at the big picture, having them laid out on paper like viewing a map, instead of just following the directions of a GPS turn by turn. This visual reminder helps me see how each small step connects to my larger goals. I also love adding novelty. Our brains crave it. Sometimes I'll try a new project management tool or online community, or approach a task differently. This isn't about keeping things interesting, or it's not just about that. It gives us a natural dopamine boost that feeds motivation. Celebration is another key psychological tool. I integrate celebrations into my weekly planning and quarterly reviews. Even small wins deserve recognition. Remember, every step forward is progress. For physiology, I can't emphasize enough how crucial this foundation is. In my field of work, I see firsthand how physical state impacts our motivation. Sleep isn't just rest, it's when our brain consolidates learning and recharges our motivation centers. Exercise isn't just for physical health, it's a powerful mood regulator and motivation booster. To keep things interesting, I like to mix up my activities. Some days I run, other days I do a quick home workout. The key here is consistency, not perfection. Nutrition is another big player. Especially in the most stressful times in my life, I learned how poor eating habits can drain energy and motivation. Now, I treat my body like a valuable resource. It's the vehicle that carries us towards our goals. This year, I'm committed to elevating this area of my health, nutrition. Finally, many people overlook the impact of the environment on motivation. I'm very intentional about my surroundings. I've invested in creating a workspace where I feel energized and proud. It's not about luxury, it's about crafting an environment that tells your brain this is where important work happens. Fortunately, my husband Carl is great at setting up a workspace for me that supports long days at the computer, taking care of details like lighting, decor, and sound. Even the smallest details can make a huge difference. Community is crucial, but it needs to be the right community. I have specific people I turn to for different types of support. My husband for big picture discussions, my best friend for cheerleading and accountability, my business peers for professional growth, and online communities for specific goals. But here's something important. I'm so selective about these interactions. I really minimize time with people who drain my energy or doubt my vision. Social media requires careful balance. Yes, I'm there sharing content daily, but I regularly take breaks from consuming others' content. This helps me maintain my authentic voice, and authenticity is incredibly motivating because it aligns with our values. Let me wrap this up with something personal. When I opened my private practice during the pandemic, these strategies weren't just strategies, they were my lifeline. They helped me navigate uncertainty and focus on meaningfully helping more people. You know what I've noticed? The most sustainable motivation comes from the three-part harmony we've discussed, taking care of our minds, bodies, and surroundings. When these align, motivation becomes less about pushing yourself and more about naturally flowing toward your goals. Here's our challenge for this week. Choose one strategy from each category: psychology, physiology, and environment. It could be starting a weekly planning routine, committing to a regular sleep schedule, redesigning your workspace, or evaluating your connections and relationships. Start small, but start somewhere. Write this down right now. Yes, you can actually pause and write them. Remember, you don't need to implement everything at once. Pick what resonates most with you and begin there. That's exactly how I built my personal motivation system, one small change at a time. I'd love to hear which strategies you'll try first. Share your choices on YouTube at The Mental Path. Remember to add hashtag The Mental Path to build a community and support each other. Next week, we'll focus on mood, specifically how to notice and what to do if that sadness is turning into depression. Depression affects motivation, and low motivation is one of the main signs of depression. I'll break down the basics so you know how to prevent depression and what can help when you're right in the middle of it. This is going to be a powerful episode. Thank you again for being here. Please share this podcast with people you care about. Sharing and leaving a rating or comment helps spread the word about the Mental Path podcast. Until next time, remember that your dreams deserve your dedication and you have everything you need to start taking action today.